The EV dream is over. Mercedes CEO just ditched EV production, shocking all car makers by going back to combustion engines. Remember how Mercedes promised they will ditch all gas cars by 2030? Well, they're not doing that anymore. The EV market is crashing super hard, with EVs dropping 30% in prices. But why is Mercedes suddenly getting cold feet about EVs? Why did they go back to gas cars? Are EVs a scam? A few years back, governments worldwide pushed car manufacturers towards electric vehicles with strict regulations and hefty fines for non-compliance. Mercedes-Benz, a frontrunner in the luxury car market, was one of the first to ditch gas engines, aiming for an all-electric lineup by 2030. However, despite these ambitious plans and an early commitment to electrification, the reality of EV sales and market conditions has prompted a significant strategy shift for the German automaker. Mercedes initially projected that by 2025, half of their vehicles sold would be either plug-in hybrids or fully electric. This was part of their Ambition 2039 strategy, signaling a bold move towards a sustainable future. But recent developments have caused the company to pump the brakes on these goals. The CEO of Mercedes, Ola Källenius, has indicated a more cautious approach, now targeting a mix of 50% electric and hybrid vehicles by the latter part of the 2020s, but only where market conditions allow. It's not just a small hiccup. There's a whole storm of reasons behind Mercedes' dramatic shift. First off, electric vehicle sales aren't zooming ahead as fast as anticipated. Despite the hype, folks aren't switching to EVs as quickly as predicted. High prices, long charging times, and questions about reliability are making potential buyers think twice. And it's not just in the US, where the EV craze is cooling off. Over in Europe, where eco-friendly wheels are usually all the rage, Mercedes isn't betting on going fully electric soon either. The market's just not ready, and Mercedes isn't about to force the issue. Ola Källenius, the big boss at Mercedes, is keeping it real. He's not painting a rosy picture anymore. Instead, he's prepping for a future where both gas and electric rides share the road. Källenius says it's all about giving the people what they want, and right now, they want options. So Mercedes is planning to keep churning out those sleek, powerful combustion engines alongside their electric counterparts well into the 2030s. The plot thickens with news that Mercedes is also axing the development of its fancy new electric vehicle platform, the MB.EA Large. This platform was supposed to be the next big thing, bringing us closer to a greener, cleaner driving experience with technologies from the futuristic Vision EQXX, which boasted a mind-blowing 750-mile range on a single charge. But alas, due to slower than expected sales of their current electric models, the EQE and EQS, Mercedes is pulling the plug on this dream. Instead, they're going back to the drawing board with their existing EVA2 platform, which powers the very cars that have been underperforming in sales. What does all this mean for you and me? Well, if you're dreaming of a world where electric cars rule the roads by 2030, you might want to hit the snooze button on that dream for a bit longer. Mercedes' move is a big hint that the auto industry might be tapping the brakes on the all-electric future, at least for now. This change in tune isn't just happening at Mercedes. The entire automotive industry seems to be reevaluating its rush toward electrification. Tesla has noted a slowdown in sales. Meanwhile, other major players like Rivian, Lucid, GM, and Ford are either scaling back production or delaying their EV projects. It appears the automotive world is simultaneously getting cold feet about a swift move to electric. The root of Mercedes' pivot surprisingly lies in the profitability of their vehicles. In stark contrast to their gas-powered models, which have seen sales soar by 61.3%, EV sales have actually declined by 12.5% in 2023. This disparity is not trivial, especially considering that plug-in hybrids have experienced a 20.5% increase in sales. It paints a clear picture. The market might not be ready for a full electric shift as previously thought. Källenius shed light on the financial challenges of producing EVs in a recent interview. He candidly shared that traditional combustion engines are still Mercedes' bread and butter, financially speaking. The CEO predicted that making EVs competitively priced with gasoline vehicles could take another decade, a statement that underscores the economic hurdles still facing the electric market. Beyond Mercedes, the broader car industry is grappling with various challenges that complicate the production and sale of EVs. Economic growth is sluggish, ongoing supply chain issues persist, and geopolitical tensions among major players like China, the US, and the EU are creating additional strains. Mercedes anticipates a rocky start to 2024 with expected dip in sales. Adding to the complexity, component shortages, particularly the 48-volt systems supplied by Bosch, are hindering production. Mercedes is introducing a new platform, MMA, designed to accommodate both electric and combustion engines, which will underpin future models like the CLA, GLB, and an upcoming compact G-Wagon. However, a looming threat from China is causing further hesitation. Chinese manufacturers, particularly BYD, are aggressively pricing their EVs, potentially undercutting Western markets. This pricing strategy, coupled with China's dominance in the supply of rare earth minerals essential for battery production, poses a significant risk. The US relies heavily on these imports, and any disruption could severely impact the cost and feasibility of producing EVs domestically. The situation is exacerbated by environmental and ethical concerns associated with mining the raw materials needed for EV batteries, such as nickel and lithium. Issues like water pollution and mining hazards have raised serious questions about the sustainability of sourcing these materials. Despite these challenges, other automakers are exploring different avenues. Ford has reduced prices on models like the Mustang Mach-E in response to slow sales, and has scaled back production on its F-150 Lightning truck. Similarly, BMW is pivoting towards hydrogen fuel cell technology, which plans to introduce hydrogen-powered vehicles like the iX5 Hydrogen by 2025, boasting impressive specs such as a 400 horsepower engine and an 800-mile range. So is this export ban bad news for us? It surely is. You see, since acquiring the raw materials for making EVs is now going to be even tougher, local car manufacturers are going to struggle really hard to keep their prices low. But don't forget, BYD is a Chinese company, so it can still get those costly raw materials and enter our market with cheap EVs, making other brands just obsolete. Then you should also know that these raw materials needed to make EVs are only limited in supply and cause issues like water pollution and mining hazards that affect thousands of children all over the world. Now let's talk about reliability. Remember how we thought EVs could be less of a hassle because they have fewer moving parts? Well, turns out they've got their own bag of issues. We're seeing a bunch of recalls from big names in the EV game. Tesla had to call back over 1 million cars because of some autopilot snafus. And GM's not off the hook either, with their Bolt EVs catching fire after crashes. Even Ford had to recall a bunch of Mustang Mach-E's due to battery issues. Doesn't exactly scream reliable, does it? And here's the kicker. Fixing an EV isn't like popping into your local mechanic. These high-tech rides can rack up some seriously high repair bills, especially if you damage the battery. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars for what might seem like minor damage. So much for saving money on gas. But the plot thickens. Despite all the government incentives and tax breaks, folks just aren't buying into the EV hype as much as expected. Sales are growing, sure, but not at the blockbuster rates some were predicting. It seems like a lot of people are still on the fence, worried about prices, charging hassles, and whether these cars can really go the distance, both literally and figuratively. So what's the takeaway from all this? While EVs definitely have their perks, they're not the silver bullet for our transportation woes that some had hoped. Between the environmental concerns of battery production, the practical challenges of owning an EV, and the reliability hiccups, it's clear we've got a long road ahead before we can truly call EVs the vehicles of the future. Mercedes CEO has probably made the right move, going back to combustion engines that are still reliable and selling in good numbers. Will you be buying an EV, yes or no? I just uploaded a video about groundbreaking news that could hurt the entire EV industry. Do check it out if you want to be truly shocked by what's about to happen with EVs.